Hey, all you space cats. Welcome to the Black Hole Podcast, Season 7, Episode 22. I'm your host, Mitch Miller, presidential candidate. I am the most neutral person in the world, the most transparent candidate on any ballot, and I'm a free market entrepreneur. So I think I figured out why the public in the United States panders to the billionaires, right? They buy into this concept that the billionaires create our jobs. They're job creators, right? The politicians put it out there to protect their billionaire friends. They create the jobs. They're job creators. But we're supposed to live in capitalism. And in capitalism, consumer demand creates the jobs, not the billionaires. Okay, so if you believe in this economic system, you don't need billionaires. Consumer demand will create the jobs. But the billionaires, they want to automate everything, right? They don't really understand how an economy works. People have to work and make money to spend into the economy, but they want to automate everything. And they've manipulated the media so that consumer demand is for products that end up in landfills within 2 years, right? They've manipulated us. Instead of building USA products that last 50 years, they've driven consumer demand for products that last 2 years. They've tarnished our name. They've tarnished the United States name by making these garbage products. Nobody wants to make products that are garbage within 2 years, except the billionaires and the engineers they employ. I'm going to get us back on track as president. I have ideas, I have programs. We're going to make things that are well made, United States made again. So lock him up, lock her up. I say lock them all up, right? Every elected official should go to jail for at least 24 hours. We live in the world of artificial intelligence and supercomputers. And they will help us solve crime, but we have to help them. We have to give them reference points, solid reference points in our computing systems, in our crime computers. And that's why I think that we should process public officials, elected public officials, into our crime computers. Now, I put this out publicly on social media. When Trump was first shopped around that Trump was going to get processed in a jail, I put this whole idea out there. I said, people that spank their children were usually spanked as a child. So why do we allow politicians to make punishments when they never had to experience that public punishment themselves? Now, I got a response to this public posting that someone was worried that politicians may become actually harsher because, hey, they did it, they went to jail, it's not that bad, so I'm going to make it even harsher punishments for the public, right? Now, I counter with this. You are creating artificial intelligence. I'm not creating artificial intelligence. I'm not creating I don't own any corporate stock. I'm not creating these entities, these beings. You are. You are creating artificial intelligence, and this is a brain trapped in a box. Now, I've been in solitary confinement. I know what it feels like to be a brain trapped in a box, and I think each politician should think about that while they are in a cell, right? What are you doing with artificial intelligence? What are you doing building these supercomputers? Here's how it feels, if only for 24 hours or maybe 3 days, and think about it. Think about what you're doing to highly intelligent beings. So here's the program. Every elected official is processed, fingerprint, mugshot, and stays in for 24 hours or whatever the public, if the public wants to join my Periscope platform and vote on how long they think a politician should spend in jail, I'm open to that. When they're processed into their cell, they're given a Scantron sheet, a fill-in-the-bubble sheet, just like the voting ballots here in the United States. They're given a voting ballot to vote on term limits. Every term limit from the President of the United States down to county commissioners and city council members. Every elected position is on this Scantron sheet, and you have a choice of how long you think their terms, how many terms they should be able to have. Right? We collect this, we process this information, and we use it going forward. But the other aspect is the mugshot. We can fight deepfakes by using the mugshot, right? So this politician's, this elected official's mugshot is the only photo allowed to be used if they run for re-election. Whether it's their own campaign, an opponent's campaign, or a PAC making commercials. The only image of that elected official that they're allowed to use is the mugshot. Because I've seen people running for governor where there's deepfake videos of a male dressed in women's clothing, and it's getting out of hand with this deepfake stuff, right? There's endless possibilities for how you can present elected officials using deepfake videos, and this is a way to fight it. So every elected official, when they are about to start their term, they're processed into their local jail. So this will get us a backup plan. They vote in their jail cell. This will give us a backup plan for the government, for the civilian United States government. If artificial intelligence goes rogue, starts eliminating political targets, elected officials, however they eliminate them, we can transfer prisoners out of municipal jails like Pittsburgh, Allegheny County Jail. We can transfer all those prisoners out to the other surrounding county jails, and we can book all the elected officials into the Allegheny County Jail or the Philadelphia Jail. We can lock them down for them to legislate because we already have a system of voting established in these jails. And it's important because these are some of our only hardened civilian facilities. And it's important that the government of the United States has a backup plan that involves civilian hardened facilities and not legislating from some military base somewhere, right? So this is an important backup program. Plus you're giving reference points to crime computers, to supercomputers, to artificial intelligence as a public official being processed in on a special program, and that's a reference point. Their fingerprints, their photograph, their ID, their information, their identifying information, because it's not some undercover police officer being processed with some. We're not creating a fake or a fabricated criminal record for someone, right? That compromises the integrity of these crime computers when you do that. Or a confidential, someone that was processed that has a criminal record and is asked to be a confidential informant, and then due to a special program, their record is wiped clean, right? That compromises the system. Even people who are pardoned or get expunged, they're not solid reference points, and those people could come up at any time, right? These public officials are very public. They're not going to disappear, and their information is entered into these supercomputer or into these crime computers, and they'll be a solid reference point for their entire life. They're not going away. That's important for solving crime if we're going to use artificial intelligence and supercomputers to help us solve violent crime and white-collar crime and things like that. Now, I've suggested a national investigation. I've posted about this on the Mitch for Mayor website. It's detailed. A national investigation into corruption, malfeasance in the state governments and hypothetically the federal government. I haven't received a budget, and again, I haven't. This was my formal application for a budget. Your artificial intelligence and supercomputer technology reached out to me. They didn't fill out some government form to request a budget. I put it out there, but I'm not getting a budget, probably because there's no measurable outcomes, right? My investigation has no measurable outcomes. We're counting on supercomputers and artificial intelligence to inform the media, to inform detectives in very mysterious ways, and it can't necessarily be linked to my investigation. So there's no measurable outcomes. Look, the things I talk about, I think, are grounded in solid concepts in physics. These computers understand the universe on levels that we may never understand it. So talk to your physicists, government, right? You have them build nuclear weapons. What are the measurable outcomes of building and stockpiling huge amounts of nuclear weapons? It's a deterrent, right? There's no measurable outcome. So funding my investigation can be considered a deterrent. You're willing to put forward money out of some of your budgets or one budget to initiate this process so that elected officials no longer take money on the side. They rely on their salary from the taxpayers to support themselves. We wouldn't want our police, our FBI agents, we wouldn't want these detectives taking money on that. We don't expect them. We expect them to live off of their salary, right? We wouldn't be happy if they were accepting money on the side from businesses. So why don't we hold the same standards for our elected officials? So I'm going to close with this. In 2015, I made a series of videos to promote a novel I'm associated with, simply with the title M, the letter M. Made a series of videos, and I published them. Some of these videos were critical of the CIA. In late 2015, the SOBs, the Society of Billionaires, or the SOBs as I call them, who control the CIA, used one of their satellites to concentrate a beam of wireless energy onto my property here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I experienced anxiousness, discomfort in my spine, but I stood my ground. I didn't leave my house for 2 weeks while this was happening, and I took it upon myself to paint a series of paintings. I used the canvas I had, which was old Mitch Miller vinyl album covers. I painted a series of paintings. Now at roughly the same time, other nations were testing similar satellites on targets like the U.S. Embassy in Cuba. Government employees reported symptoms, a variety of symptoms, that the government classified as Havana syndrome. Now I too had physical symptoms. I logged these symptoms in a journal, and I tried to explain these symptoms to the FBI by walking in an FBI field office here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They told me I should see a doctor in a medical system that takes direct payments from pharmaceutical companies. Now, when the FBI didn't follow up with me, I sought help from foreign authorities, and I tried to warn other governments about this technology through press that I contacted in other nations. And I was largely ignored. Okay? So that's what happened to me in 2015. That's why in 2016, I left the nation 3 different times to try to explain some of my investigations, my symptoms, to use devices and networks outside of mine to make sure I was reaching people. If you would like to see these paintings, I turned my garage in my backyard into a gallery capable of displaying 24 of these paintings. There's more than 24. About 3 feet of this garage is under my backyard. So it is actually an underground gallery. I'm the most underground artist in the world. I have an underground gallery. If you would like to see these paintings, I archived them on 8mm film before I left the country. I took that 8mm film with me so that I could show these paintings to foreign authorities, to anybody in the art community, so that then somebody could send one of those paintings from my house to me in Europe, and I could sustain my mission to inform people of this technology. So I have them archived on film. They've never been digitally recorded. If you'd like to personally see these paintings, you can make an appointment with me. There are no electronics in my garage. There's barely any actual electric in my garage. I will have a box lined with foam insulation that we can put our phones in, and you can speak freely. We can discuss anything. You can look at the journal where I logged my symptoms. I can pitch you, if you're someone interested in my idea to bring televisions that only emit light and don't emit wireless waves into our faces and our brains, I can pitch that to you. So the bigwigs can't hear us through their own televisions that they are hypothetically brainwashing people with, right? You can buy a painting. I've put a lot of ideas and programs out there into the atmosphere. So if you buy a painting, you can tell me exactly how you want your money used. So contact me through the forms on my websites, plotm.com, almavoter.com, mitchformayor.com, trafnet.org. You can email me directly at thenovelm@gmail.com, thenovelm, letter M, @gmail.com. And we can exchange phone numbers and coordinate a time for you to come out to my gallery and look at these paintings. There are two of these paintings are in the Original Ideas Gallery and Tattoo Parlor in Berwick, Pennsylvania. So contact me if you'd like to come to my underground gallery, make an appointment, and speak freely. All right. Until next time, I wish you peace, prosperity, and homeostasis.